So hello, glad you're here today. We have 30 minutes to talk about emergency preparation. What I'm going to do is talk for 20 minutes on rapid speed mode. And I'm going to give 10 minutes at the end to answer any questions that you have. So I would ask that if you have any specific questions, that you would put them in the chat, either on Facebook or on the Zoom meeting. Put your questions in the chat, and then Rhonda and Peggy will ask me your questions at the end. That would save the most time. And so this is National Preparation Month. The month of September is always National Preparation Month. 2020 so far has been like a garbage year, right? Like, we've had the worst of everything in 2020. My sister pointed out to me that we've had the worst of, fires, the worst sicknesses, the worst pestilences, the worst of everything. And you can even look at the statistics on charts and stuff. If you Google statistics for 2020 disasters, you'll see that the charts are way off the line. So I don't really need to spend time talking to you about that, except for this point. If you found yourself very prepared for the pandemic and what 2020 has brought so far, then I applaud you. If you found yourself not very prepared, then I'm here today to do some CPR on your heart, kick you off your couch of complacency, scream and yell and sound the alarm, because every agency in the world is yelling at us to prepare for what's coming. In fact, Jesus himself is trying to prepare us for what's coming. Read Matthew 24 yourself, read the words yourself, read Luke 21 yourself. And yes, I have faith in Jesus. And yes, I believe God will watch over us. But just like I go to work for a paycheck, I don't expect God to, dump money down my chimney every night. I go to work for a paycheck. And I believe he told us these things in Matthew 24 and Luke 21 to help us prepare for this reason. The better prepared we are, the better prepared we are to help somebody else. You may be the help for somebody else, but not if you're in your own little crisis. So the more prepared you are for a crisis, the more prepared you are to have God use you in a crisis. So really, Jesus said things like the pandemic that you see, the pestilence that you see, the fires that you see, the earthquakes that you see. Even today, multitudes of earthquakes happen today, this very day. All these things, the civil unrest that you see, the wars that you see, all of these things that you see, Jesus said, these are the beginning of sorrows. He said, for then there will be great tribulation after these days. There will be great tribulation, such as never has been in the world before. And then he says, see, I have told you beforehand, so that you will be ready when they come. Therefore, he says, be ready. He doesn't even say get ready. He says, be ready. And being in a state of ready means that you have gotten ready. And so he's calling us to be ready for what is coming in this earth. And yes, have faith. Yes, have confidence in God. Don't be in panic mode, but be smart and get off your lazy behind and stop procrastinating. And what you know that you should have been doing, start doing it tomorrow, right? Tomorrow. So now we're in a crisis. There are some things that you can't even purchase right now in this crisis that we're in this pandemic. But there are some things that you need to plan for and prepare for in the future. One of the things that you need to plan for and prepare for in the future is sheltering in place with no online shopping, with no going to the grocery store, with no electricity, The recommendation used to be that you shelter in place for 3 days. That is not the recommendation. Minimum, you should be able to shelter in place minimum for 2 weeks. Better would be to be able to shelter in place for 3 months. That is the new recommendation from FEMA, Homeland Security, American Red Cross, CDC, JC, Jesus Christ. He's telling us to get ready. And we cannot expect to be taken care of always. We have to get out of our mind that somebody's always going to come and give us our mashed potatoes or whatever. No. We need to learn how to be self-sustaining for a period of time. So 2 weeks to 12 weeks self-sustaining in your home. What would you need to do that? Tomorrow, when you get up, tomorrow, take inventory of what you have. How much water do you have in your house? If you turn the faucet on and there's no water in your house, how long could you sustain? You can go 3 days without water. How many people are in your house? How long could you go without having water provided? How long could you go? How much food do you have in your house right now? How long could you go? If you couldn't go to the store, you couldn't order from Amazon or Costco or Walmart or Uber. You could do none of that. If you plan for one thing, you're prepared for everything. So you need to make a plan. So you need to make a plan to be able to shelter in home. When you go to the store, buy some foods that you can, open a can and eat if you have no electricity. There's all kinds of resources online. Go to ready.gov, go to American Red Cross, go to CDC, go to FEMA, go to Missouri, anywhere. Any city basically even is telling us we need to be prepared. So go to those places. You need a kit, an emergency kit with supplies in it. Of course, do you have a flashlight? Sure, you have a flashlight. Where is it? Nobody knows, right? Do you have a first aid kit? Yeah, where is it? Where's the last time I used it? You need to gather all that stuff up and put it in one place so that you know where it is. Does your flashlight even have batteries in it? Get that stuff ready. You probably have a lot of stuff scattered all over your house and in your garage and the trunk of your car and, out in your shed or whatever. Do an inventory, gather it all up, put it together, and have that ready. And teach your family to know where it is and how to use it. So you need to be able to shelter in place. The second thing, you need to be able to grab and go. You need to be able to have everything that you need somewhere in your house. And if I said you have 5 minutes to go in your house right now and get what you need to survive and all your important stuff, you have 5 minutes. How many of you could go in your house and within 5 minutes come out with what you need to sustain yourself? Do you see people on TV? They're living in tents and stuff. Their house has been burned out. Everything is, flooded out. They're in shelters or whatever. Could you go in your house and within 5 minutes grab what you need? Have your important papers, have, all those things that you need, shelter, food, clothes, whatever, all of it. That's the goal. The goal is within 5 minutes, grab and go. Or shelter at home for 2 to 12 weeks, self-sustained. That is the new recommendation from everybody. And right now, with the election coming and everything, every prepper in the country is just like going ballistic. You can go on YouTube and type emergency preparation and watch some videos, and they're all posting, that we need to prepare for whatever's coming. But our book, the Bible, is also telling us, get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready, get ready. I wish those words were just like pumped through some kind of loudspeaker every day, because we get so complacent and we forget the urgency, because when something happens, it's going to happen like an overwhelming surprise. And if we're not ready, we're not going to be ready, right? So we need to be ready so that when that happens, it's not an overwhelming surprise as much, because, okay, we have this, we can do it. We can stay at home for some weeks without shopping or doing anything. We have it. We have water, we have food. What can I do to help you, kind of thing. Before this pandemic, less than 10% of Americans were ready for any kind of an emergency. Since the pandemic, 16% of Americans are ready for any emergency. Okay, well, I'll take the 6%, okay, but that means 94%, 84% are not ready. 84%. So that includes us too. We're Americans. That means 84% of the people are depending on 16% of the people to take care of them. It's not doable, right? The best thing you can do is learn and try to get ready yourself for what is coming. The more prepared you are, the more confident you're going to be, the less stressed you're going to be, and the more you're going to be able to help other people. So what do you need? You need water. You need food. You need first aid. You need shelter. You need knowledge. Okay? Learn all that you can. There's so many books now and so many resources. If you need some help with resources, reach out to me. I'd be happy to help you in any way that I can. I can't go into all the details in this class right now, but what I can do is make myself available if you totally don't know what to do. My email address is angiejoseph57@gmail or Yahoo or Hotmail. angiejoseph57. Email me. I can send you some stuff. I can help you. I'll give you my phone number. You can call me if you have questions. It's not time now to be in la la land. It's not time to be a sleeping virgin. Okay? It's time to be an active soldier and be preparing. And it's what God, I really believe God is calling us to do, is to be prepared, be ready. In Matthew, Mark, and Luke, the term be ready is repeated over and over and over. It's not by accident. It's because Jesus is just yelling at us like, come on, be ready, get ready, be ready, stay ready, right? He wants us to do it. So one of the first things, since water is so important, one of the first things that you need to do is one night for supper, eat ramen noodles for 69 cents. Use the other $19 to buy a water purifier. Okay? For the price of a pizza, you can buy a water filter at Academy Sports, Walmart, Amazon, Target, anywhere. Dick's Sporting Goods. For $19, you can buy this little tiny water filter. It's called the Sawyer water filter. $19. It filters 10,000 liters of water. Plenty for what you would need in a situation. So very simple. The price of one pizza, you have a water filter, and if your water's off and there's a mud puddle outside, you're good. You can drink the mud puddle. I've drank many mud puddles with this. Sloppy, nasty, green slime pond or thick mud, drank it, and wow, I'm still alive, right? Because it's nice to have a water filter. Since you can't live very long without water, that is something that you need to be thinking about. The average American uses 100 gallons of water a day. You cannot store 100 gallons of water a day. but you can store 1 gallon per person per day for 12 weeks or for 2 weeks, and then have a water filter for the other times that you need water. So I have a whole list of various types of water filters. And if you send me an email, I can send you the list. I mean, you can buy a super expensive one, or you can buy a cheaper one. Get something. One way to have water out of your faucet in a situation is no way to have water, right? So we need more than one way to do everything. So the other thing that you need is food. So when you think about food, you need some foods, like you can have a can of peaches, okay? That's perfect for at home. But if you have to grab a bag of stuff and you have 5 minutes, it's kind of challenging to carry a case of peaches out the door with a tent and a coat and everything. So you need other kinds of foods that you can grab and go. So one of the things I would recommend that you learn how to do is freezer bag cooking. It's very simple. It's the method we use when we're backpacking. It's the method I just used in the Boundary Waters 2 weeks ago. And all you have to do is boil water, pour the boiling water in the food in the freezing bag, in the freezer bag, wait 5 minutes and you have a nice hot meal. It's very simple. It costs very little resources. You don't have to burn a bunch of fuel to boil water. If you had to cook rice, it would take a long time and a lot of fuel. But if you only have to boil water, it's very simple. Google freezer bag cooking and just learn how to do it. You can do it with things that you can just buy at the grocery store. So just learn some simple things, some simple ways, so that in a situation you have some knowledge. What did you show? What did you show, Tammy? Oh, nice, perfect. But if you start thinking about prepping and you go through the grocery store, you'll find lots of meals that are just ready to go. And you just rip off the lid, rip off the pouch and just suck it out of the pouch if you have to. It doesn't matter. What matters is that you have some fuel so that God can use you to help other people. That's the thing. It's not just about us surviving. It's about us being energetic enough to be used by God to help other people. So I am not a doomsday prepper, and my house is not surrounded with dynamite, and if you come to my door, I'm going to blow you up. It's not about doomsday prepping. It's about preparing so that we can be prepared to help others. Of course, though, I'm one person. You're one person. So you can only help a minimum amount of people. 16% of us cannot truly help 84% of us. So the more people that are prepared for a situation, the better. So I want to take some time now for some questions, because I feel like you may have specific questions, and I don't really have time in this class to show you a lot. Oh, there's one more thing I did want to show you. You need some kind of solar charger. So if there's no electricity, you need some kind of a solar charger that has solar panels. And you can also buy these very cheap. For the price of a pizza, you can get a solar charger. You can go on Amazon. You can get simple ones like this. My mom got me this one for Christmas, and it works. You can get 2 or 3 charges for your cell phone. You can also, for the price of a bag of chips, basically, you can buy a solar light. Never needs batteries. You throw it on the windowsill and it's always ready to go. And it's a solar light. You can blow it up and it becomes like a globe. So these are really nice. And, again, very inexpensive. You have that. It's in part of your kit. It's ready to go if you have to shelter at home without power. It's also ready to go if you have to grab and go. Either way, you're set. So My advice to you, and I'm like screaming it from the housetops, stop being complacent, stop being a procrastinator, do an inventory, get your stuff together, be ready, like Jesus said, be ready. That's my advice.
Okay.
All right, questions.
A question for you. What about freezer cooking from your own garden? How could it be done, being we are to grow our own food? So many fresh foods are being recalled these days.
Yeah, if you can grow your own food, I'm all for that. You know, even if you have a little bit of, like, I have a tiny little backyard, but you can grow stuff. You know, you can do hydroponic gardening also, which I've dabbled in some. So yeah, grow your own food, dry it. You can dry it in the oven, have a lot of dried food. Dried food, in my opinion, is the best because if you lose power, your frozen food is only going to last a short period of time. If you dry the food, here's what I do for work. Even when I go to work, I throw a bunch of stuff in a Ziploc bag, bunch of dried stuff that I dried, and I get to work and I pour boiling water on it and I wait 5 minutes and I eat it. I mean, I do that constantly. That's kind of how I live. So, you know, when you cook a big batch of something, dry part of it and have it ready. Google Google and learn how to preserve food yourself. Do home canning. I'm from Michigan. I just was in Michigan. I just did a whole bunch of canning at my son's because in some places of the country, you can just stop by the roadside. It's the honor system. You can buy bushels of food for super cheap and take it home and can it. So it's not quite that easy here in Kansas City, but I go to Michigan every year and do that kind of stuff. It's a great idea.
Okay. I think you've done these seminars for a while, and someone wants to know if you still have pamphlets on this topic.
I do. If you email me, I'll email you more stuff than you ever wanted to see in your whole entire life.
And that was angiejoseph57@gmail.com, right?
Right? Gmail.com or yahoo.com.
Okay.
Either one of those. You
I don't
can
have
even
any
message
questions
me
on
at
Facebook.
Facebook and I can send it to you in Messenger also. So you can find me on Facebook.
How do you store it for freezer cooking?
For freezer bag cooking, you can store food in quart jars with an oxygen absorber. You can buy those from Amazon. They're very cheap. Put your dried food in a quart jar, put one oxygen absorber in the quart jar and put a lid on it and it'll keep for a long time. So you can also, you know, dry all that food, put it in Ziploc bags and throw it in your freezer. So it also keeps that way. People have told me you can do oven canning. I haven't tried that method yet, but just, you know, there's volumes of books now on preserving food and drying food. In fact, right now you can hardly buy a lid for a canning jar.
True.
Right? I
True.
mean, so many people are learning and doing it now that it's really difficult to find lids. So if you do see lids for canning or you see canning jars, by all means, they're $10 a dozen. Buy a couple of them and have them on hand so that when you dry your food, you have it. I put mine in the quart jars or the pint jars with the lid with an oxygen absorber. It actually seals the jar. In a few days, the jar will seal.
Wow.
And then it's good to go. But like I said, I'm using that stuff all the time. And, you know, so it just around and around. Don't just put it there and leave it for 20 years. I mean, you can invest in 25-year food. I think it's a good investment. So there is that option. Right now, it's hard to get. But if you do see some of that stuff, get it. For $10, you can get 40 servings of soy protein for $10, which is a great investment. More questions?
They're all ready to go?
Nothing on Facebook.
Oh, sweet.
So you can talk
Keep talking for.
All right, I would recommend that the one thing that you need is knowledge in your head. So if you have nothing, if you really had to be like the woman that was, the end of the world scenario, and you have to leave and go back to your house and grab nothing, you still should have something. And that would be some knowledge that you have in your head. So learn how to do some things. There's books like Where There Is No Doctor. You can learn how to do some things, take care of some medical needs where you're the one that has to do it. It's the book missionaries use for training to go into third world countries. So Where There Is No Doctor, you can even get a free PDF version of that book online and put it on your phone. There are lots of PDF emergency books that you can just PDF to your phone, and then you're waiting for somebody while they're running an errand, and you have 10 minutes. In that 10 minutes, learn something new. Learn all that you can. If you get an emergency, for $50, you can buy an emergency kit for 2 people for 3 days, which is insufficient, by the way. But it has some stuff in there to get your brain working, and you can practice with some of the things in there. What good does a tool do you if you don't know how to use it, right? You need to practice. Maybe one night a week, don't use your stove to cook dinner. Use an alternative method to cook dinner. Do a freezer bag meal or use a camp stove. You should have some alternative ways to cook at home. Most people have a grill. That's a great second way to prepare meals. But you can't take a grill with you if you have to grab and go. Here comes Tammy dragging her grill down the street. It's not going to work. So, on Amazon, you can buy a tiny little stove that's this big. It weighs 1 ounce. It's what I use backpacking, and I absolutely love it. I've had mine for like 8 or 10 years now, and it works perfectly. And it's 1 ounce. I can carry it in my pocket. And so, for $8 or $9, you can get alternatives to what you're used to doing the easy way. Learn how to do some stuff the hard way. We're the first generation in history that don't know how to take care of ourselves. It's time we learn how to do some things ourselves. When's the last time you even started a fire? Like, I've had grown men in classes try to start a fire by holding a match to a log that big. I mean, we just need to go back and learn some basic skills.
Need to be a Pathfinder.
Yeah, be a Pathfinder. But a lot of us have forgotten anything. If we were in Pathfinders, we've forgotten. And a lot of people never were in Pathfinders or Boy Scouts. We're so urbanized today that a lot of people just don't know. And the people that I've had in my class, they weren't being smart Alex. They just didn't know. They had no knowledge. I've had people that don't even know how to strike a match. So really, we need to hone some of our great-grandparent skills, Channel your great-grandparent skills into your life and do some practicing. And no, I don't believe in channeling. That was just a word.
Okay, we've got a couple minutes left. I've got a few questions here. I'm just going to read them off. You can pick what you want to talk about and what you want them to email you. People want to know, what about prescription drugs? Do you have book recommendations? How about preserving things like sweet potatoes, strawberries, and those softer things? And how does that little stove work?
Okay, yes.
You want to pick?
The little stove hooks onto a little propane fuel canister. So with that and that little stove and doing freezer bag cooking, you can cook breakfast and supper for about 10 days for 2 people with that one little stove, which is pretty decent as far as fuel usage. I do have books recommended. I have a whole sheet of books that I recommend people read. If you email me, I'll send you the whole packet that has something like water filter, all the different water filter recommendations, different stove recommendations, book recommendations, food recommendations, recipes for, you've seen these SOS bars that they put on life rafts and airplanes and stuff. They're like emergency food bars. We'll have a recipe that the Mormons give out that lasts forever. And basically it's an SOS bar and it tastes like sweet sawdust, so it's delicious. So there's a recipe you can make your own, and it's life sustaining, right? You take a hunk of that and you don't really need to eat again for like 4 or 5 hours, and then take another chunk and eat it, and you're good. We're talking about not preference, we're talking about survival, right? So if you're sheltering at home, you can be picky and whatever, but if you're in a survival situation, what you need is energy. So you're gonna swallow that SOS bar if that's all you have and you're starving, and it's gonna taste like honey. Preserving different soft foods like sweet potatoes and strawberries and stuff, totally you can dehydrate anything. You can dehydrate all of that stuff. And you can dehydrate A1 sauce. I dehydrate everything. So you can totally dehydrate sweet potatoes and applesauce and peaches and whatever, spaghetti sauce, and bring it back to life. And actually, my favorite spaghetti in the world is dehydrated spaghetti sauce, rehydrated. It totally enhances the flavor of pasta sauce, and it's so delicious. I love it. All right. Anything else? I think our time's up, Peggy.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any more questions.
Seriously though, if you really need some help, don't hesitate to email me, and I will, I don't profess to know everything, but I have been doing this pretty much my whole entire life, and I have learned some things, and I'm happy to share what I have learned with you, but I consider myself still a learner. And, I constantly am looking and learning and practicing and, experimenting, because I really do want to be ready, and I want to be ready to help somebody else.
Well, we want to thank you so much for joining us again and sharing. And please do email her. She does have tons of stuff that she can share. She just has lots of information in that brain of hers. So thank you all. And no, lots and lots. Gail, are you still on?
Yes,
If
yes.
you'd like to pray for Angie and close in prayer.
Our Angie Joseph 57@gmail.com. Yes. Thank you, Father in heaven, for this precious daughter. Thank you for all that you've imparted to her and all she's been willing to share today and even into the future. Help us, Father, to appreciate the friends that you give us, the help that you send from above, and help Angie to go on learning and growing and testifying for you. We love you and praise you in Jesus' name. Amen.